Hello, good evening, friends. What a roller coaster. It's unbelievable. What's happening in the stock market? So, as you know, on Monday, we had a collapse of Nvidia stock, which dropped 17%. So a lot of people said no, but it's just a small correction. No, it's the biggest loss in a single day in the history of the US market. All right, $600 billion lost in a single day. And the question is, could it have been much more dramatic? And didn't Trump just pull off a genius move with his communication? So, we're going to dive into all that in this video. So, first of all, we agree that on Monday, when we learn about the collapse of Nvidia in relation to DeepSeek, there is a wave of panic on the stock market. All right, because it calls into question everything that has been put in place. All the investments, the $500 billion, etc. Tens, hundreds of billions of dollars called into question. Nvidia, which is down 17%, that's $600 billion in just one day. The entire tech sector lost $1.5 trillion in a single day. That's more than Spain's annual GDP, what it produces in a year. And after that, Donald Trump steps in. So, of course, he could have intervened clumsily. He could have gotten angry. And actually, he appeared very calm. I actually commented on the video yesterday, in a video that has 125,000 views. Very calm, very composed, and he responds nicely, saying, yes, what they're doing is great, it's a good thing. It's a good thing for us. It proves to us that we need to work hard. And we could see that, instead of piling on and adding more fuel to the fire, he understood that his speech would have an impact on the financial markets. And the way he handled that was a masterstroke. So he could have, of course, trigger a panic. Because once again, panic is a lot about psychology. Sometimes it's not about reason. Remember Silicon Valley Bank. It was an extremely solid bank, etc. And overnight, this bank went bankrupt. Simply because of psychology, because everyone wanted to get their money back, to withdraw their money from that bank. And from there, it was unable to meet its obligations. And it was the second largest bank. It was the bank for startups, the most well-known bank, etc. And bankruptcy. And it's in the United States. This is not a developing country. It's the United States. We had a bank that went bankrupt in 2023. Remember? So, psychology in the stock market is extremely important. So, the way Trump was going to respond. It was either going to calm things down or pour oil on the fire and create an even bigger catastrophe. So, I'm going to touch back on his reaction, but it was huge. So, quickly, Nvidia, dramatic record since it's the biggest drop in history. And above all, it's the domino effect. Meaning, a drop, okay. It's not the drop itself that's important. It's about what the reactions will be that follow. If, for example, you have a big drop and we manage to calm things down. For example, remember what happened in 2020. We had the Asian crisis, COVID, etc. The market is dropping sharply. And then, that's it. Everyone was saying it's over, it's done, etc. Oil going negative, negative. We have a lot of people going bankrupt, etc. And there was a massive reaction from central banks around the world. It's massive, it's unprecedented. And above all, the debts of countries, whether it's France, the United States, etc. The debts of countries have skyrocketed. But why did we have such a significant reaction? Also, quick. It was to avoid the contagion effect. To understand one thing well is that contagion in the financial markets, it can happen really fast. And the way we communicate is really important. The way we send signals to the market is really important. So, if in 2020, March 2020, there had not been these injections unprecedented in history, it is unprecedented in history. So, if we hadn't had those massive liquidity injections, the crash would have been way worse. So, $1.50 trillion. I've read in some comments people saying, yeah, but it's just a small correction, it's not that bad. It's always the same thing. $1.5 trillion. It's not that bad, let's compare. Is $1.5 trillion important or not? Spain produces $1,462 billion in a year. Italy produces $2 trillion. France 2,800 trillion. $1.5 trillion is almost. It's more than half of what a large country produces in a year. A major power like France in a year. Argentina is 646 billion. NVIDIA. The loss of NVIDIA is the GDP of Argentina. Everyone's talking about Millet. What has just been lost in one day? NVIDIA. What NVIDIA lost in one day? That's equivalent to the GDP of Argentina. Just to give you an idea, Sweden is at $584 billion. Ireland, $551 billion. Belgium, $644 billion. So, in a day, the tech sector has lost $1.5 trillion. Sorry, guys, this is no small thing. This is important. I've already covered the cause of the crash in my previous videos. But clearly, it's DeepSeek, a Chinese startup that has developed advanced artificial intelligence at a lower cost. It has proven that with very little money, it can do the same thing as the giants of Silicon Valley. And it has challenged NVIDIA's dominance. Because NVIDIA, its business model, you need to understand one thing. NVIDIA's revenue went from $18 billion to $35 billion in a year. And why? Because NVIDIA sells processes at stratospheric prices. And now, actually, DeepSeek is challenging NVIDIA's business model. So, this is no small matter. This is very, very important. Once again, we're just getting started. We're going to see how things evolve, but this drop is not trivial. There's something deep behind it. Behind it, there's something deep. Of course, there's concern among investors. Because if DeepSeek is true, then that means it's possible. There's a drop in demand for NVIDIA's high-end chips, which are really expensive. Tens of thousands of dollars, the emergence of China as a serious competitor in artificial intelligence. And finally, there's a risk of shrinking margins and therefore a drop in profits for NVIDIA. Because there will be cheaper alternatives. Propagation. NVIDIA wasn't the only stock that dropped. We've seen several stocks drop. Broadcom dropped 12%. You can see that for now, it's not bouncing back. We had Google, which dropped a bit, but it's holding up pretty well. We had AMD, which dropped, but it was already, by the way, AMD. It's already in a downward trend, having lost 11%. And finally, Oracle, Ellison, by the way, who went to see Trump. It lost 9%. But you can see that Oracle, for now, is still just okay. You see here, we're not in a situation where we're breaking the highs. So, for now, it's still just okay. With Oracle. So, Trump, what's he doing? Why did he have a stroke of genius? He could have given in to panic. And me, once again, when I watched the interview, when I saw his speech, I thought, wow. And that's why I filmed a video yesterday. I thought, wow, he really gets it, the guy is really sharp. So instead of panicking or minimizing the problem, because he didn't really minimize the problem, but he used brilliant communication. So when he stepped in, so watch yesterday's video, what did he say? He said, this is a good thing for us, meaning the fact that, yes, there are 10 seats, instead of saying, oh, this is a threat, no, this is a good thing. It allows us to be better. It's going to make us better. So, he repositioned 10 seats as a challenge rather than a disaster. He said, look, this is also going to allow us to spend less, to do better. So, something very negative, Trump turned into something very positive. And he said, the United States needs to innovate even more. And he called for a proactive response from American companies. So, he avoided fueling the fear. He insisted that the United States was the best, that it had the best engineers, etc. And that, this is going to be resolved quickly. And of course, watch out, there is still a danger, but it's going to push us to be better, and we are already the best. He didn't say, he didn't downplay himself. He didn't say the Chinese, he said, no, that's fine. And, in fact, that communication was brilliant. What happened right after Trump's intervention? In just a few sentences, he downplayed the situation, he avoided a deeper collapse. He restored confidence in investors. And so we had markets that stabilized, Nvidia bounced back by 9%, and the crash was avoided. For now, because it's true that it hurt, Trump takes power, stock market crash. So, clearly, if ever the markets go down, you will see the central bank which will lower interest rates. You're going to see Trump trying to calm things down. So, it's going to be great. What's going to happen? So clearly Trump, he's saying, I'm here, guys. I'm here, and I'm going to calm things down. All right. And what if the markets get all worked up? I'm going to be there and going to put in some money. Now, look at this, Nvidia. So, yesterday, it took a big hit. So, in weekly, I said, we were below the 100-day moving average. Now, we've gone back above the 100-day moving average. Great point. Here, we had a drop of 17%. Look at the record volumes, 800 million shares sold or traded. All right. That's huge. That's thousands of 800 million per 100, that's 80 billion. That's it, 120. Come on, that's $100 billion in one day. I think. Of trades, of transactions, and here you can see that Nvidia is starting to rise again. Well, alright, 8%. But is Nvidia great? No. For me, personally, there are people who asked me, Tammy, what do you think? There's better. It's better because Nvidia has broken support level. There are way better stocks out there. It's not something I'm too lucky. On the other hand, if it goes up, it will push the most interesting stocks even higher than Nvidia, to me, is interesting in terms of as a barometer, not as a buy, but again, I have my strategy, so understand that well. There are stocks that are more interesting. Speaking of Meta, Amazon. Moreover, the results will be published. So let's avoid a crash. We're on the same page, but the future is uncertain. It's clear that we're going to see a lot of movement in 2025. There are several challenges. The company results are coming up soon, and we'll see if they confirm or not. For example, Nvidia and the other tech giants. Do they have good results or not? The rise of China. So China has said, we're still here. So, is DeepSeek just the beginning? Are they going to bring a lot more things? And in that case, are they going to shake up the United States? Because once again, the Chinese, it's true that we tend to underestimate them. We have tended to underestimate them recently with Trump, etc. But the Chinese, ultimately, they didn't. And then, China was in a little bit of difficulty, growth was bad. But are the Chinese not preparing something even more incredible than DeepSeek? We'll see. With very few resources, they've pulled off something amazing. And of course, inflation. The U.S. debt and all that. Clearly, the balance is extremely fragile, to say the least. So, today we have the Fed's decision on interest rates. Important. We also have the results from the tech giants, so it's going to be a big week. We've got Microsoft announcing Tesla. And today we have Meta, Apple, and Amazon. So all of that, Apple on January 30th. Amazon. So there you have it, we almost have the 7 magnificent ones. Nvidia is the one that's missing. We're going to have a big week in terms of results to follow. It's going to be really important to see if the results are good or not. Clearly, we're going to see some volatility this year. It's going to be a totally crazy year with Trump. There are a lot of stakes involved. For now, a point for Trump. Well done, because it could have been really bad, but it's not over yet. Hold on. For now, I'm not quite in the yay mode yet. Also, Some stocks, for example, yesterday we had stocks that performed really well. I'm going to show you. We had. I don't know if you're familiar with RCL. That's in the cruise business, etc. We have some stocks that are behaving well, Doku, for example, which has behaved well, GLB. Meta, which are doing well. Now, the results are to be published. Spot, Amazon. You see, there are quite a few stocks that are doing well. So, there you go. Our goal, especially from a financial market perspective, is to say that there are always opportunities, there are always interesting things out there. Despite drop in Nvidia. Oh wait, I showed it to you. There are stocks. I mentioned it in my video yesterday. Mentioned Amazon, it's still doing well. So, there are stocks that haven't suffered, that haven't been affected. But, clearly, once again, Trump, for my part, really had the smarts to cool things down quickly. Oh wait, and not to run away. Because a lot of politicians, when they have something like that, they wait, they stall. And he stepped in really quickly. There were 10 psychs. Yeah, 10 psychs. What they did was really great, and it was huge. It was very short. It was brief, concise. But he responded. He didn't run away his duties, he responded. That's where I found him good. A crash was avoided. In the span of 24 hours, the world almost faced a much bigger stock market crash. Trump's intervention. There are always concerns. Chinese competition, tariffs, inflation, results, public debt, Europe. Will Europe hold out? Is it? There you go. Every day, there are videos saying it's the end of Europe. It's going to be intense. It's going to be a wild ride. But I'm going to try to post more videos. So, in the comments, don't hesitate to tell me if you think Trump was very good, if he ultimately avoided the worst, or is the crisis just postponed, that we are going to have a much more serious crisis? Or are we actually entering a new era, the golden age, as Trump said, meaning everything is going to be fine, that it's going to be amazing? That the American markets are going to break record after record after record after record. Your turn. I'll see you soon, friends. Bye.